As I went about my business here in the Senate yesterday, I was informed the Koch brothers are at it again. We know they're at it, but now they're at it in Nevada, among other places. One of their puppet organizations is, I'm told, going to run commercials against me in Nevada. That's quite interesting, Mr. President. As I understand it, they have focused on places where there's an election. They may not know that, but I'm not running for anything I have to wait a few years until my 6-year term is up. What is the issue that they raise in those ads that they say they're going to run in Nevada? That by my criticizing the Koch brothers, I've attacked their freedom of speech. The gall of these two brothers is staggering, Mr. President. Keep in mind, they're the 5th richest people, not in whatever state they live in. They have lots of different homes in America. They are the 5th richest people in the world. In the world. These two mogul multi-billionaires are so eager to force their will on the American people that they'll do it even in the face of their own hypocrisy, which we have already established some time ago. So, Mr. President, I am beginning to think that April Fool's Day arrived a day early. You see, Mr. President, it's a fool's errand for the Koch brothers to think they can use their money to frighten me or to brainwash Nevadans or the rest of the country. They're spending lots of money to try to do that. The people of this nation trace their freedom of speech back to the Constitution, not a bank account that has lots and lots of zeros at the end. The Koch brothers are trying to use their immense wealth to buy their way around the laws and regulations of this nation to make themselves even richer. Everything they do is so selfish, so self-centered, in an effort to make them, I guess they want to be the 6th richest, not good enough. 5th richest isn't good enough. 4th, they want to be the richest, because that's what they're into, making money and as much as they can. And there's nothing wrong with that, except what they're doing with their money. Now, Mr. President, I know they say, well, we gave money in, I think, New York City to cancer research. Mr. President, what they have done to damage the National Institutes of Health is it's not possible to measure that. Here's the rules the multi-billionaire Koch brothers want to play by. They should be allowed to say false and misleading things about the Affordable Care Act, but we're not allowed to criticize them for it. Now, Mr. President, yesterday, I am told, just listening to the news, I haven't heard anything from the White House directly, I am told that yesterday, in one day, more people signed up for Obamacare than the previous 3 months. People are anxious to have health insurance. They're anxious to have health insurance. And I've been very satisfied with me and members of my caucus and people around the country standing up to these moguls and their false, misleading, fear-mongering ways. So it should be no surprise that these multi-millionaire, billionaire, really, really, really rich, 5th richest people in the world have decided what we'll do, we'll try to frighten Reid. Well, Mr. President, there have been times in my life when I've been a little afraid, but I'm not afraid of them. They can run, I understand they're spending $30,000. Let them spend $300,000 in Nevada. I don't care. And I really don't. Now, these oil barons have commissioned a group of people, one of their many organizations. As I've said here on the floor, Mr. President, most of the ads we see, we think, come from Americans for Prosperity. That's their name. But they funnel money through many, many organizations. The Chamber of Commerce. What does the Chamber do with those ads? run ads against Democratic senators because the Chamber of Commerce is a Republican-oriented organization. And it's good to get money from the Koch brothers because they can hide it under the Chamber of Commerce. Now, this organization now that they are floating around, that they're going to run these ads, I'm told, against me, it's called American Encore. It was previously called, quote, the Center to Protect Patients' Rights. I guess that didn't work so well, with well more than 10 million people have now signed up for Obamacare. People who didn't have the opportunity before. I guess they decided running ads against me is more important than protecting patients' rights, so now they've come up with another catchy name, American Encore. No matter what they call their organization or their myriad of organizations, they all have one stated purpose: to make these oil barons even richer. And if you need further proof, and I'm not sure anyone does, take a look at the legislation that has influenced how they've made their money. In recent years, the Tea Party-driven House of Representatives have never missed a chance to funnel more tax cuts to the wealthy by raising taxes on the middle class. Mr. President, the vast majority of wealthy people in America today are willing to do more. They've spoken to my friend, the presiding officer. There are a lot of rich people in the state of New Jersey. And even though the presiding officer has worked with those people who are badly in need of help, people in New Jersey have walked up to the presiding officer and said, you know, I'm willing to pay more. The same in Nevada, Mr. President. But every time we try to do something here to get a few more resources to build roads, bridges, highways, dams, water systems, sewer systems, the Republicans here in Congress say no. The Republicans in Congress do not represent mainstream Republicans in America today. They don't even represent mainstream richer Republicans around the country. They're driven, they're afraid of the Tea Party. Now, we have a budget proposal coming out today from the House of Representatives. Person who ran for vice president last go-around from the Republican ticket is the chairman of the Budget Committee, and he's coming out with a budget. It's a blueprint for a modern how would we say this? Koch-Topia. Koch-Topia, yeah, that's it. Koch-Topia. In fact, call it whatever we want, we might as well call it the Koch budget, because that's what they're protecting the Koch brothers. These proposals are called, and I'm fascinated by this, Mr. President, the path to prosperity. Well, it is a path to prosperity for some people, the really rich, because that budget would end Medicare as we know it, just like the last budget that the chairman of the Budget Committee in the House came out with. It would slash education funding while expanding tax loopholes for the mega rich. So whose prosperity was being plotted in these schemes? Today, as we get closer to the new Ryan budget, we'll have to see how much of the Koch brothers' agenda is reflected in this year's budget, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. You don't have to be a fortune teller to know that the similarities are extensive. So to any and all groups who wish to attack me on behalf of multi-billionaires, fire away, Mr. President. I am very happy, I'm even proud to be target of those attacks, and will gladly endure them in order to call attention to the unscrupulous acts of these two barons. But don't expect Americans to go along with their attempt to rig our democracy and hand it over to a couple of power-hungry tycoons, I guess from Kansas. They have homes, and I know in New York. Somebody was up there and they said, you know, one of them lives near here. The country will be watching, but not fooled by the Koch brothers' attempts to purchase influence. For whom? For the Koch brothers.